Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. How are you? Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, now we will come to today's news. The U.S. Postal Service is planning a hike prices because of inflation. The cost of living crunch that's frustrating American households is also putting the squeeze on the U.S. Postal Service, which right before the weekend announced plans to raise prices to offset the rise in inflation. The agency said on October 7 statement that it had proposed a range of price hikes, including for stamps and raising fees on mail insurance, money orders and P.O. box rentals through new rates, which have been approved by the USPS governors, but still needs to be reviewed by the Postal Regulatory Commission. Includes a 4.2% price increase for first-class mail. It will go from 60 cents to 63 cents, while domestic postcards will go from 44 cents to 48 cents. Single-piece letter. No change, no plans are changed. No changes are planned. Okay, the real news is how many people were still using the post office to send mail. Alright, the Wall Street Journal's reporting that trans-Pacific shipping rates have plummeted roughly 75% from a year ago levels, when we're talking about how high those trans-Pacific shipping rates have gotten. But here is one of the reasons why: weaker demand, because big retailers are canceling orders with vendors. And they're trying to cut inventory as we go into Christmas. What is this saying? This is saying that even though the left and the Marxism, Democrats don't want to admit that we are in a recession, the retailers are just not putting in the orders they were before. And the shipping rates have dropped because demand has dropped to maybe get more business. Isn't that incredible? FedEx recently said it would cancel flights and park cargo planes because of a sharp drop in shipping volumes. On Thursday, Nike said it was sitting on 65% more inventory in North America than a year earlier, and we resort to markdowns. One of the response to melting demand has been to reduce sailing trips. Wow, folks, it's the retailers know they have to plan for this stuff. Remember, the retailers make a lot of money during Christmas. That's why the Friday after Thanksgiving was called the Black Friday, because some companies like Toys R Us. I remember studying them when I was getting my economics degree. I remember exactly, but it's something like they didn't really make money until Christmas shopping hit. And then that's when they would make their profits. They would break even or even be underwater in the red up until Black Friday. Just another sign of what's going on with our economy. Even though they're lying to us, but we can feel it in our pocketbooks and the cost of everything. But let me, as I've been reporting, DeSantis is probably going to be the president after Trump wins re-election in 2024 and goes into office in 2025. I'm thinking that the Democrats are probably teeing up to put up Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, and a hard leftists and the nephew of one other crazy Democrat, and I'm talking about Nancy Pelosi, through marriage, Governor Gavin Newsom of California is her nephew. Well, he announced that he will be calling a special legislative session to deal with illegal immigration, no crime, no homelessness, no. But to tackle the windfall that the greedy oil companies are getting and taxing them more. Yes, that's right. Amid the soaring gas prices that we're seeing, he is going to do this. Now, several studies have shown, all studies, that the gas companies are actually making less money with these high gas prices because they have less margins than they were before. Yet Gavin Newsom is going after them, even though California pays the highest tax rate on gasoline already, because of course they tax all companies. They're going to pass that on to the consumer. People like Gavin Newsom know this, but they go through it anyway. Because it's all part of the plan to squeeze out the working and the middle class and make everyone poor. The Courage Bridge from Russia to Crimea. I was bombarded by Ukraine yesterday. I've had multiple reports on this, including the new stamp that I mentioned earlier in this episode, and now this is what Putin is doing. He is slated to create a decree to tighten security measures on the bridge. Why? Because the Ukrainians yesterday threatened more attacks on Russia's infrastructure. This is what they tweeted out: the guided missile cruiser Moscow Aba, and the Courage Bridge, to notorious symbols of Russian power in Ukrainian Crimea, have gone down. What's next in line? Ruskies. Ukraine. They're bragging about a suicide bomber on a bridge. Let's real progressive using terrorism. We're not funding it. It's the deep state. We're not doing it. We Americans aren't doing it as the deep state. Yeah. With our tax money or our tax enslavement in the form of deficit spending. You take your big, they're still screwing us either way. Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree on enhancing security measures for the Crimea Bridge, as well as for the Inner Energy Bridge, and the gas pipeline connecting the peninsula with mainland Russia. The Kremlin said in a statement on Saturday, quote, "The Federal Security Service in the Russian Federation shall be vested with the authority to organize and coordinate protection measures for the Kerch Strait transport crossing the power grid's energy breaks within the Russian Federation and the Crimean Peninsula, along with the main gas pipeline between the Krasnoyarsk region and Crimea during their operation." Okay, let's get into the news here having to do with Special Counsel John Durham. U.S. District Judge Anthony Trenger, a George W. Bush appointee, approved a motion from Durham's team. And I think this is a smart move by Durham, and it was smart to judge to grant this. What this is they have a list of witnesses, the Durham team, and they don't want to publish that yet. Special Counsel John Durham can keep a list of witnesses he plans to call in an upcoming trial secret. The judge ruled the witness list will be sealed, and will remain under seal until further order from the court. During that said, there is prosecution of Igor Danchenko. A key source for the anti-Donald Trump dossier compiled on behalf of Democrats ahead of the 2016 presidential election is set to start on October 11. Couple days from now. Michael Keelty, an assistant special counsel, asked the court on Friday to see the list. Given that this case has garnered significant media attention, the government is concerned about the potential harassment of its witnesses. Should they be identified this far in advance of trial? Guilty rope prosecutors on the John Durham team plan to publicly file the list. We should provide it to the Schenck was lawyers. Beforehand, defense lawyers did not object to the proposal. The filing cited rulings and other cases that sealed the witness list in One Night Pub Company. The court wrote that a trial court has supervisory power over its own records, and it may, in its discretion, seal documents if the public's right of access is outweighed by competing interests. Well, I think here is not just a matter of a harassment of its witnesses. It could be, I don't know, something a little bit more drastic than that. Sicilian neckties and other accidents that seem to befall people that crossed the Clintons. And don't forget Hillary Clinton and her people started this entire fake dossier and Russian collusion story. So we will have coverage as we are made aware of publicly of what is going on with the John Durham trial of India Shenko. Okay. The number is now up to 54. Nearly 50 new government defendants have been added to the lawsuit that alleges the government-induced censorship of state officials and others on social media. The second amended complaint in the case of Missouri versus Biden includes 6 new agencies, bringing it to a total of 13 and 41 new individual defendants, which makes a total of 54. Altogether, 67 officials or agencies are accused of violating plaintiffs' First Amendment rights by participating in a censorship enterprise through pressuring the big tech firms like Facebook, Google and Twitter to take action against users under the guise of misinformation. Evidence backing the claims have been produced in discovery, including exchanges between the White House officials and Meta, Facebook's parent company, and messages showing meetings between administration officials and the firms. My question, like I had earlier in this episode, who's still using stamps, who's still going to the post office, who is still on Facebook? It tends to skew a lot older. Facebook has become the social media of choice for the older crowd, of course, which can still be lucrative for Facebook, because who has money for the most part? Not the young 20s folks, but people middle-aged and older. But I still ask you, who's really still on Facebook is not cool. When I first saw Facebook as when it was called the Facebook. And it was still a car college app. And I remember my sister, who was in college, send me a link to see something, and it was on the Facebook. Alright. Let me tell you who is smart. That would be DeSantis over in Florida, and the planning of what they're doing to deal with illegal immigration. I'm gonna tell you this story, then our last story has to do with Elon Musk, who is a very smart guy, but he's got this one wrong. I'll get to it here in a second. A Florida Department of Transportation purchase order shows the Sunshine State will continue relocating illegal immigrants for at least 8 more months. Wow. The purchase order sign of the beginning of September between the Florida Department of Transportation and Virtue Roll Systems Company, a comprehensive transportation provider, says the contract will be executed until June 30, 2023. Now, of course, they can cancel the purchase order if they find their performance unsatisfactory, but if this company Virtol does their job, they're going to continue remotely relocating illegal immigrants for another 8 months until summer of next year. The document was obtained by Sun Sentinel through a public records request. And his colleagues is costing them a lot as causing Florida, and a lot of money to fix Joe Biden's mess. There's 3 tiers in the price schedule: $325,000 per flight for up to 8 passengers, $485,000 per flight for up to 25 passengers, and $625,000 for flights for up to 65 passengers. Seems to me that you could fly 65 people commercial for a lot less than $625,000. That is the mess that Joe Biden has left DeSantis and crew to deal with in Florida, and it's costing Floridians painfully. Okay, this is where Elon Musk has got it wrong. And I am right. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said that he thinks conflict over Taiwan is inevitable, and the self-governed island should become a special administrative region under Beijing's control like Hong Kong or more lenient. Oh, really, Elon? I know you're shilling for China. They're like half your business now. And all that jazz. You've been right. I'm looking forward to you buying Twitter this month, and making it a free speech platform again. But you dead wrong on this. First of all, a free nation should be a free nation forever. And always. Little nations shouldn't have to bow down to big nations. There was a great I don't think I've ever showed it on the show. But there was a great speech by the president of El Salvador about this. About leave us alone. Leave us the little man and my little hut and my little garden next to the man with a palatial mansion. You've got your mansion, leave me and my little plot of land alone. That is how I feel about Taiwan. China, worry about China, leave Taiwan alone. Let them be independent, must meet Ray. Their remarks, and a Financial Times interview published right before the weekend after being asked about China, where Tesla manufactures as much as half of its total output. There you go. And an open conflict over Taiwan were to break. Which Musk said he thinks is bound to happen. Yes, is bound to happen. Because look at Russia and Ukraine. Look at everything that's happening in the world right now. With the weak Joe Biden. Now is the right time for tyrants to be even more tyrannical, because we've got a tyrannical president in the Oval Office right now. My recommendation would be to figure out a special administrative zone for Taiwan that is reasonably palatable. Probably won't make everyone happy. Yeah, well, Muay Thai when he's happy, who are like being free and independent. So Elon Musk, you want some kudo points earlier this weekend? From me. But you lose it here. He's wrong. Because look, did China keep their promises to Hong Kong after they were turned back? No. So why would Taiwan want to fall for that kind of program? You're wrong, Elon, you're a smart guy. But you got this one wrong. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Give me your thoughts.